today, and I'm talking to Cassie, and she's 8 hours time wise behind. So it's, I think, 9 o'clock where she is. So I'm delighted that she has joined me today, and we're going to be talking all things Reiki. So I've Reiki Reset and Mindful Medley. So I now am going to invite her, and it doesn't take. Aha! Hello.
Hi, good morning.
I just said it's 9 o'clock where you are, isn't it?
Yes, it
Yes.
is.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for joining me. What part of the? I know you're in America, but what city, county, area?
So I am in the Pacific Northwest. Right now I'm in Washington State.
Okay. Okay. So we're 8 hours of a
All,
different.
yep, all the way at the other
Yes.
corner of
Yeah.
the United States.
Yeah. And you said you had a busy day yesterday. Did
I
you get a
did.
good sleep last night?
I did. Yep. My
Good.
kids are on summer vacation, so I had a busy day from 8 a.m. until about 9:30 last night. And then my kiddos were up pretty late, so I was like, I have to go to bed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. Thank you for joining me. Would you like to share with everyone who you are, who Holistic Hands is, and how you came about?
Sure. So I'm Cassie with Holistic Hands with Cassie. Um, and I'm a Reiki practitioner. I do also work with crystals, quantum healing. I do have some mediumship that's coming through really strongly online. And it kind of came about when we moved back from Germany. We moved back from Europe to the US in 2019, and I could just really feel like something was about to change. Everything was about to change. We moved to Tennessee, and my spiritual awakening just started slowly unfolding. And the first time I heard Reiki was through an oracle deck. So it was a deck that I had that I was working with for just myself, my personal growth, personal healing. And I saw the word Reiki and I was like, that's what is that? And it kind of described it in the book and the booklet that came with it. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. That's really neat. Which it was telling me that that's what I was going to be led into, navigating and trying out. And then I kind of didn't pay it any attention after that. And so that was kind of that first time frame in around 2020, I would say is probably when I first heard the word. And between then and 2022, I just went down the spiritual rabbit hole and uh, learned a lot, studied a lot, tried things out, just trying to find my way. You know, when you first start, you don't really know where to start. So
Yeah.
you kind of learn a lot of things and you are trying to figure out how to implement that into society, into your life, and all of that. So then around 2022, I really started recognizing between those 2 years, 2020 and 2022, between that time frame, I really started recognizing like, oh my gosh, there's something with my hands, which I feel like I've always known, but um, didn't pay much mind to, you know. I worked in the medical field, so the natural caregiver was always in alignment with me. And I was like, wow, there's something with my hands. Like my family always had to touch me, always had to touch me. They always needed my touch. Um, it seemed to like alchemize my children's pain really quickly. Just a natural instinct of when they get hurt and you put your hands places, things like that. So I was like, there's something to this. I really need to sit with this and see what's going on here. Um, so I did, and I found a practitioner online. It was an online course. I it was self-study though. It was just, on your own in a program, not really any not teacher-led or instructor-led. And so I took it and I realized I didn't really feel that connection. I wanted that instructor. I wanted to be able to ask questions, if I had and I did. I had a million. So I really wanted to be guided kind of through that. And so the Reiki class that I had taken just didn't resonate with me that well. And I got a cold and I blew my eardrum because my cold got so bad. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, this is a perfect time to do Reiki. And I tried and I didn't really feel, I didn't have that connection because that connection you and relationship you build with it is also part of it. And so I was like, "Hey, there's got to be a Reiki video on YouTube. Like there just has to be at this point." So I did, and I found Andrea. I found our instructor and our mentor,
Yeah.
and I actually found a video for tinnitus. That's what the video was for her that she had made. And at that point, I didn't have hearing in that ear for 11 days. That was a long time to not have hearing in one ear. So I was like, I will try anything. I was worried it was going to be permanent hearing loss. So I tried her video. I listened to it, and within 3.5 hours, I started getting my hearing back. And I'm like, oh my God. So
Wow.
that was wild for me. That was my first kind of Reiki experience. Distance, YouTube, pre-recorded,
Never met
um,
her before.
never met her before, anything. Yeah. So it was pretty significant.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of people try Reiki they want to be in person, and that makes total sense, right? We go to a massage therapist because we want the experience
Yeah.
and we want the hands-on part.
Yeah.
So for my experience to be so profound, virtual, pre-recorded,
Wow.
it goes to show how it can,
Wow.
that's just amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Siobhan and Caroline have joined us. I have the pleasure of knowing both ladies, so you're welcome to ask Cassie any questions.
Yes, please.
Um, Cassie and I are in mainstream Reiki, and Jennifer was my first Reiki swap, Reiki share, but Cassie was my second. And all I can say is I was lifted and elevated from the armchair in my sitting room. And where was the armchair or the wherever you were, 8 hours behind time.
Yeah.
And you so kindly said, anytime you want, just text me or contact me and we will have Reiki shares. And mainstream Reiki have the Reiki shares anyway and the Reiki swaps, but you were willing even to go uh, outside that to if I wanted. So I was always very grateful for that. That's how we just clicked and we connected, and
Yeah.
we've never met yet.
Yep.
Yet, I believe there's an entourage coming from America
I
soon.
think so. I think you're going to have to get ready sometime in the near, in the future.
Yeah, yeah. Now, with all of that, Cassie, you started training, but other than Andrea, that was your first experience. You didn't go to get to try it out. You just started as
Yeah.
a practitioner, as opposed to trying it out first. Will I like it? Did I feel anything?
Yep.
Oh, I didn't feel anything. I didn't see colors, so therefore it mustn't be working.
Yep.
You just
I I didn't dip my
did.
toe. I kind of just jumped.
Yeah.
And that's the beautiful part about it is it caught me and it will catch you wherever you are starting at. A lot of times we think that we're late, right? We're late. Oh my gosh, we didn't start this. Everybody knows this. I haven't tried it. And that's just not how it works. It really meets you
No.
where you are.
And how you're ready to receive.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you would not have been skeptical at all. You felt it in your DNA, you felt it in your hands.
I did feel it within. I didn't understand it, and I wasn't even sure that it was Reiki. I didn't have that experience myself. Again, I hadn't gone to a Reiki session. I hadn't um, had that kind of experience. So I will say I was more skeptical of myself, but I wasn't of the work, if that makes sense. Um, and then also a little part to it when I didn't feel much and I didn't feel connection with the first course that I had taken. I was also, that kind of led me like, oh, was I wrong about this for
Yeah.
me? Right? Is this
Yeah.
Reiki from me? And then when I tried it with Andrea, on YouTube, virtually without her live, I was just blown away. I was like, oh wow, that was,
Mm.
totally different than what I expected and what I had experienced. And um, I say this a lot today, that we all carry like our medicine uniquely.
Yeah.
All of us are, it's so different
Yeah.
for all of us. And that's why I'm so grateful I tried another practitioner,
Yeah.
because you might have tried it with somebody and just not had that connection.
Yeah.
Um, and there's all kinds of variables,
Yeah.
but it's definitely something worth, trying another practitioner.
Mm.
They teach it differently. It's just like school. You have teachers where they can just talk and talk and talk, and you're like, I don't know anything you're saying. It doesn't resonate with me, doesn't feel right. And then you have a teacher who could say the exact same
Yeah.
thing, the exact same information,
Yeah.
and it just comes through differently. And so it's the exact same in that sense.
I just want to read this. Caroline wrote, I got attuned twice to Reiki, one, and just didn't feel it. So would I have to get attuned again, or could I do the 21 days again? Or attuned to Reiki 2? I do Rahani, celestial healing, and love that. But would love to do Reiki 2. I feel called. Oh, thanks, Caroline, for love this chat. Um, Anna has joined, Alicia has joined. Maybe that's me, maybe to try another person. I know, because I asked this question off Andrea, if you're tuned to Reiki 1, you can come do Reiki 2. And I did Yasui Teramai to start, or my first 1, 2, and 3. So that was Reiki 1, 2, and the Masters. And then I toddled off to Northampton and I got to meet Andrea. And I think for the first 2 days I was, and
Yes.
one of the girls would say, do you want to sit beside her? And I said, no, I'm over it now. And the minute I sat down, I got into the hotel at 20 to 12 on a Sunday morning. And after planes, trains, buses, taxis, and buses, I arrived in at 20 to 12. And the minute I sat down, I said, I'm going to teach this. And a lady that joined me at the weekend for Reiki 1 has had Reiki from many practitioners. And she said that the holy fire, when she comes to me, I've also taught a lady Reiki 1 and 2, and that's holy fire. And that same girl has gone to her, and she said it is beyond any Reiki that she has experienced. And I know it is. The Reiki 1, 2, and 3 that I did here, yeah, it was lovely. But the holy fire is very, very special, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we're nothing to do with it. Caroline, with the holy fire, if you're being attuned, there is no attunement, as in there's no ritual with the teacher. The teacher sits back and Reiki comes from source, because it's called holy fire for a reason. Holy it's spelled Holy, but it's WHOLY because you're whole and complete. And the fire then is to heal. The fire isn't to burn. They're just the words. And William Rand, it evolved in his sphere, which is that what you'd say, Cassie? William Rand was Teramai. We're all Yasui, but he was walking down the street and he got guidance that you can evolve Reiki, and he created. And within the holy fire, when you do the masters, you can do experiences. And I've started to do experiences with my groups, and it's a guided meditation. And Reiki, it says it in the book, this is more powerful than a Reiki one-to-one healing session. And I have had amazing experiences. Like one of them was so amazing that the person was on Zoom. And before I hit record, she started to cry, and I was, oh Jesus, oh Jesus, oh Jesus. And I said, and the person beside was about to do this, as in, and I said, this is nothing to do with me. And I sat back, and thankfully I sat back and trusted that this was nothing to do with me. And she was holding something for 4 years. I thought it was to do with work, but it was to do with something else. And I never saw anyone cry like this before. And once it was over, she looked and she said, thank you so much. And it released and released. And she said it came up through her heart and out through her mouth, and it was over.
Yeah.
And Andrea said to me, I asked her because I do, I have a lovely group on a Sunday morning once a month. And I wanted to change it because I was doing the same thing. And I said everything was working, but I wanted to change it. And I said to the group, what would you think? And Andrea said about the Holy Fire experience. And I was like, oh, it's all right.
Resistant.
I didn't get much out of it in Northampton. I'm doing it ever since. And I'm doing all of them. Like it's not just one, there's 4 or 5 different experiences. And to see the changes in people, it's like you've actually explained so much in a lovely way in your experience. But if someone came up to you, just say Siobhan here, after this, said, I missed the beginning, how would you describe Reiki to me?
So that's always the challenge, right? When we're teaching, when we learned, how do you explain this to people, in a real way? Our mentor explains it beautifully. And, but what I found myself is I kind of gauge where that person is. Are they coming to me from a spiritual aspect where I can just explain it to them spiritually? And then also bring in the scientific, real kind of part of this, right? Or do I have to explain the science and the scientific kind of side? And so I kind of gauge that for them, and I figure out where they are on their journey, and that's kind of where I meet them. And so if somebody's coming to me, and I don't know where they're at on their journey, and they're just I just need an answer. Of course, we can always talk about how it is a Japanese stress reduction technique. But even further than that, our bodies are meant to heal. That's why sleep is so important, right? So I talk a lot about sleep, and I kind of relate it to that. If we're not sleeping, our body can't shut down and start healing itself. And so when we get into that rest and digest state, that's when the real work starts happening in our body to repair, to regenerate. And so that's kind of how I can relate it, is me holding space and helping their body get into that rest and digest state, so then it can kind of do its own magic, because their body absolutely plays a part in it. It's not separate from their body is playing a part, as well in receiving. So we can't heal and we can't uh, regenerate and mainly heal if we're not able to receive. So I help facilitate their body in being receiving mode. So that's kind of a quicker kind of version. Um, if they are spiritual and I can have that conversation openly without having to do a really large prelude to that, then I will, we're just conduits, we're channels, the energy is, we're holding the space and allowing for the energy to come through, guide us to what that person's needing. So there's kind of two ways that I explain it.
It's so lovely. And Andrea often uses the I don't have a fork, but the tuning forks, where they are in resonance. So there's dissonance and resonance. And I didn't know any of these words before I started Reiki. But I always knew I had a nick feeling in my tummy, and I always knew that cortisol flowed quite a bit. I would say virgin on chronic anxiety. So the fork is the tuning fork, and you tap it, and that's natural. And then when you tap it near the body, it brings the body into the natural peace and relaxation. Because most of us are like this, going around. We're walking around, and there isn't much room to heal. If your neck is sore, but you're like this, and to be able I was telling the group at the weekend, I used to go to physio every 2 months. It was a year last year.
Wow.
1 year. Now, I still experience anxiety. I still experience lows. Would I call them depression? I wouldn't call them depression now, because they're not as low, but I still can go down. I still feel cortisol in my body. But thankfully it's not as intense and not as often. So that's a great help, which brings me on to something that I've done since Northampton, is self-Reiki. Do you self-Reiki?
I do. I will say it's a little bit, I don't do it as often as I do Reiki for others. But the time frames for me to do that truly is it's kind of my me time, and it's late at night when everybody's asleep, or if nobody's asleep, that's okay too, but just before I go to bed, it's just kind of my reset. I just literally place my hands on myself. I don't do anything fancy. I don't, open up a whole sacred space and do all of the things, which will be my next point. I just make it simple, and I just place my hands on myself and I ask for it to flow, and then I fall asleep. And sometimes if I wake up in the morning time too, and I'm just feeling like, oh, like I suffer from migraines a lot lately, but I am incredibly sensitive to solar flares and like astrological events, kind of. So I can usually tell solar flares and the northern lights are coming within 24 hours of them. So I will also do it in the morning time when I just have that quiet moment to just start my day. And in bed, again, not doing anything fancy, not getting up and getting music and having to do yoga, not making it a routine or a ritual, which is okay to do. I'm just saying that it's very practical to do it in the 5 minutes that you have. So I will do it then. I really use it a lot for my migraines, because I do a lot of energetic work outside of Reiki as well. Just clearing myself and energetic hygiene and making sure that this is my energy and not somebody else's, right? So, so I do use it in those kind of quiet moments that I have.
May I
So,
ask, is it okay and appropriate to share what you did for your family with your family?
yes, absolutely. Um, you know, teenage life is hard. Teenagers are hard for parents, and teenage life is hard. And, we're balancing a lot between hormones and friends. And we moved literally from Virginia to Washington. That was very difficult. Um, just distance, new school, new friends, and all of that. And I have a 16-year-old who will be 17 in November. And just he's very empathic and very spiritually inclined as I am. So he's right behind me, and he's learning how to manage his own energy and what's his, what's not his, and just as easy as it is for us to kind of not know energetically what's ours or for picking up other people's, it's even harder for teenagers. And through the years, I've always like a lot of I've heard a lot of talk about, well, do we do this for our kids, right? Because this work, you really want to have permission from the person you're working with or on. And so how does that work when it comes to kids, because they might be like, Reiki? No, I don't even know what that is. Like, I'm a teenager. I know everything, all the things. So how does that work with permission with them? And so my kids always, my girls are in my crystals, they're in my office, and I really had to set boundaries with that because, with working and stuff. So, but they're all very nature and gifted and just kind of following in suit behind me. And so we went through some hard times with our son, and there was just like, and I think all parents go through it. There's just a point of where you've done all the right things, you've said all the right things, and you just don't even know where else to go from there. I mean, you can only reach so far, especially in this point, because he's in such a pivotal point of he's not a kid. He's about to be an adult. He's about to, he's got his own mind, his own thoughts. He's figuring things out. And we had always already had talked about him learning Reiki, so it's not like it came out of the blue, but we went through a struggle, and I kind of sat everybody down one weekend, and I was like, hey, we're learning Reiki today. And everybody's like, what? And I'm like, today, sit down on the couch. And we did. They all learned it together. My husband, not so much my 4-year-old, she was present, but and my 8-year-old at the time, she's 9, and my teenager. And I don't want to cry, so I'm not going to, but it really reached him in ways I couldn't get to. And there's, I mean, that's just beautiful in itself, right? Um,
And he's a gorgeous boy as well. Like he's gorgeous.
yeah,
Very handsome. He's, in our, all of us say the person is beautiful because we're
yeah,
talking about in here, but he's handsome as well.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. But it's more than just, oh, it helped us in that moment, right? Like it helped him.
Mm.
It's a companion. So since then, the whole household changed. Everything changed.
Yeah.
Um, he was able, it was like almost kind of like it helped him kind of cut through the noise, and it became like an inner guidance to him, like an inner compass, a little bit. He started recognizing like, oh, my parents are on my side, and we could say that like, hey, we're on your side, we're your team, like that's what parents do, but sometimes that's just chatter and just noise,
Or
for them. And
he
so
could have seen that you wanted to fight with him.
yes, yes. And so it really changed something. It really changed like mentally, but then also his physical energy, where he stopped being so combative and so like, oh, everything my mom says is a little, and he really recognized like, oh my God, they are on my side. They are on my team. And we kind of like, once we saw that, it was really a beautiful thing for us to take a step back too and say, okay, you want to fly, let's fly, but he also
Safely.
had that support. Yes, exactly.
Safely.
And it just changed everything for him. And now he can really, he as we all do, if we get caught up in it too quickly, it can come on too fast. Situations,
Mm.
drama, relationships, all those things come in hot and heavy really fast. So he can still get like kind of knocked off course, but he's much quicker to rebound and say, okay, yeah, this isn't for me. Like, this doesn't feel right. This is stressful. He's really recognizing how other people affect his energy. And, oh, this isn't mine to carry.
I
This is
love
somebody
that.
else's.
I
Yes.
love that. You said that at the beginning. My, we know whose energy is around us and if it's ours. Like how many people in the mindfulness class, I would say you walk into a room and you don't have to be told the two people sitting opposite each other had a humdinger of a row because you can feel it. But you could
Yeah.
walk into a room and you could look around and go, where is the people that were here? The smell of perfume, the energy is high. And your house, because all of you are attuned now to Reiki, your house is high energy.
Yeah.
My house is high energy because I could have Andrea on the telly in the sitting room, the telly behind me here. I could have her on because it's distant Reiki. And she has recorded videos from years ago.
Yeah.
Sometimes I go back to the older ones. And now I've the privilege of being on one. So I send that, and you're like underneath me,
Yep.
and
I know
Jennifer
I'm
is
not a person who
beside.
likes spotlight and I'm smack in the middle and I was like, oh
Right,
no.
yeah. And girl,
So
if any of you would like the link to it's Cassie, myself, and 19 other Reiki masters. And we sat for 13 minutes, but Andrea was able to loop it into an 8 hour, and I have sent it to so many people, and it has brought peace to so many. I think over 1 million has watched it. Would I be right in YouTube?
I think so. If not,
It's
very close.
near. It's near. And what's lovely is the people that have watched it, you watch it, you can either watch it or you can go about your day and you can have it on with the music or you can have it low. But the people have put their comments on how it has helped. And it's healing. It's to restore peace and to restore total relaxation. And
Mhm.
if you can do that, you're able to go about your day because we can't control what's outside our bodies, but we can control who we are and how we manage our relationship with it. And like Caroline has mentioned, Rahani, I'm not familiar with Rahani, but I know that many people love it. There's biofield, there's tapping. I do tapping myself, and that's fantastic. And all of it is to help me that when I get out of bed, I say, here's a great day.
Mhm.
Because the other option is, oh God, I have to get up now. And my day isn't going to get much better than that. And I'm over 29. I know you're surprised at that. So there's a certain thing. I've gone through the station of PRE with the dash and beginning with M, and now I think I'm out the other side. But I still want to feel good. I want to live.
I'm just starting.
Okay, okay, okay. Sending you good wishes and Reiki.
Yes. Thank
Um,
you.
but why wouldn't we feel good if we can? And get support if we can. Not everyone is open to it. Not everyone is able to ask. Maybe people
Mhm.
don't talk about it. I know a friend of mine only last year started talking about, oh, the hot flushes. And she was in the company of an older lady, and the older lady never discussed it with anyone.
Yeah.
Not even her sisters, not even her sister-in-laws. Imagine that woman feeling like when the estrogen leaves every part of your body, it's like the mammy has left the house. That's what a lady said. And you said about sleep being so important. And we have ladies with us. Sabina Brennan, Dr. Sabina Brennan, she's a neuroscientist and she has a lovely book called Brain Fog. And she said every half hour from, I think, 10 o'clock at night to 6 o'clock, the body has a job to do. So it's not going to dump toxins during the day because it's doing other things during the day. But if it doesn't get the sleep, it's not able to dump those toxins. So you're carrying around the toxins from yesterday and the day before. But I love that between 4 and 6 is your creativity. So if you're not asleep, you wake up and you have no more ideas, or you're blah because there's no color, or I got a great idea. Or you could have the idea up here in your third eye, but your sacral chakra is blocked because you haven't slept.
Yeah.
Reiki on, as Andrea says, Reiki on.
Yeah.
I found Andrea during the night as well with a bad flu. Isn't that gas?
Yeah.
And I said, what is this?
Yes.
But I felt good and I got better.
Mm-hmm.
I got better, and I think I had Reiki 1 at that stage, or Reiki 2 here. But I watched it and I just was, like, I Reiki everything, Cassie. I Reiki journeys ahead. Like, if I'm doing teaching, I was in Kilbeggan and where I was teaching is 10 minutes away. So I was here getting ready, but I also was Reiki in the room so that when I got to the room, it was clean because the lady that owns it has it immaculate, but it was cleansed. It was spiritually and energetically cleansed. And when the girls walked in, they could feel it was. So I Reiki, even though I was teaching Reiki, I used Reiki as well as crystals to cleanse the room. So,
And I think it's important to mention that or to emphasize, because we've mentioned it, but when you're working with that, you're totally moving out of our linear time, so that's why you're able to do that ahead of time. That's why you're able to do it distance, going back to a certain time frame in your life, childhood, etc., or going into the future because you have a job interview in 2 days. It's practical.
yeah.
That is the thing that I just want to like scream from the rooftops sometimes,
See?
is that it's not in an aggressive way, just in a like, hey, it's so
Yeah,
practical,
yeah,
because
yeah,
we can get in our head about and make it, we can make it hard if very easily,
yeah,
and it just doesn't have to be. It's like I said, when I go to bed, I can just simply put my hands on myself and ask for it to flow. I had to teach my kids that, because they weren't doing it. And I was like, why, And he's like, I realized, oh, because you're relating it to, you're comparing it to my Reiki. My Reiki is entirely different. That's not what Reiki is. Really a personal thing. Like, you make it your own. You work with it in your own way.
yeah,
So is that I started with, putting Reiki in my water. Water holds memory. I do it, if we're having a hard day and I'm making something, I Reiki our food, and I'm removing things and going counterclockwise, and okay, now we're going to be removing all the grumpiness
yeah,
today. And
yeah.
okay, now we need a little bit of, joy and fun and compassion or whatever we need. And, so you can really apply it in so many aspects of your life. It doesn't have to be a business. It doesn't have to be something you do for.
You don't have to buy a plinth and start opening up. You can live. It's actually a great
Yeah.
companion to live with. And the most wonderful thing is, we can heal with Reiki our grandparents, our great
Yeah.
grandparents' struggles. And when we do that, we're actually healing for our children ahead.
Yeah.
Isn't that
7
powerful?
generations behind and 7 generations forward.
I
Yeah.
mean, I have Reiki'd my father when he was 4, and he's dead 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
Because something might have happened when he was 4. I have Reiki'd when I was 2. I have Reiki'd, and I just Reiki everything because I know it's for the highest good with the purest of intention, and it's safe. And if there's 2 things that's lovely. When you do a Reiki for someone, you receive Reiki.
Yeah.
And if the person isn't open to receive, you've done it for your highest good and with the purest of intention. And if they aren't open to receive, it comes back to you. And years ago, we asked our grannies to pray for us. Years ago, we had all the elderly in the houses praying. This is not religious, totally not religious, but it is spiritual. And there's a huge difference. But it's for
Yeah.
the highest good of everyone. And it took me a long time to get that because I didn't want to put upon anyone. But what better could I wish for anyone than their highest good?
Yeah.
So,
I do want to touch on that point too, because, we talked a little briefly about, I mentioned permission, from people. And, um, if it's a situation, if you're sending Reiki to a situation, not necessarily a person, but just a situation, or it could be even a person that's struggling,
yeah,
I can get out of the way of my emotions and send it to, well, I start my sessions like that. I will say that that's really important, is kind
yeah,
of stepping outside of our personal energy and going into the clear vessel.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
And but you can always send Reiki to that person without their permission and allow their highest self to accept whatever is needed on their behalf.
yeah,
Because as much as Reiki helped get to my son in that way that I just could not get to, I truly believe that it does the exact same. You may not have that person's permission, but because we're always working in the highest good of all and for them, their highest self might say, hey, no, we need this. So I step out of that way. I will send it and allow for, the consciousness of Reiki as well, and for the highest good. And I allow that to be I don't know if you want to say discussion, but I leave that to Reiki and their highest self to work out what is needed for that person in that moment. So I think it's important to mention that too. It's just
yeah.
kind of like how you would say a prayer for somebody. You're not really inserting yourself into the situation, but you're giving that
You're
well
respecting.
wish.
It's
Yes.
respect, isn't it? It's offering, but it's also respecting, because
Yep.
many people would say, Jesus, anything I can get to help me. But a lot could say, oh, no, I do it my own way. Thanks very much, but no, no. And my prayer or my wish for me is that I will always know when to talk about it and when not to,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't want to put upon anyone
Yeah.
just because that's me getting in the way. It's Reiki is nothing to do with me. I'm just the facilitator.
Mm-hmm.
It comes through me for Reiki healing. And when I'm teaching, I'm sitting over there because Reiki knows that you're whole and complete yourself. So there's nothing to be done other than receive Reiki and the healing.
Yeah.
Cassie, I think we could do part 2.
Sure.
I think we could. Girls, would you like part 2? Rachel has just joined, and Nisi, is it? Thank you for joining. If you have any more questions, I'd be happy to answer, or Cassie would be happy to answer as well. I must say I really enjoyed this, and I feel I'm getting a Reiki healing. Do you feel you're getting a Reiki healing?
I
Because
do.
the
And
two of us
I think,
are,
yep, our energy is together. We just click. We always have, but also again, Reiki is just sitting here in this with us, and it's our companion. So
yeah.
just being present with us as well in our conversation.
Girls, does any of you feel more relaxed now than when you joined? I'd love to hear that, because people have often said to me, God, I feel really relaxed talking to you. But when I'm talking, Reiki is coming out. If I'm looking at someone, Reiki is coming out.
Yeah.
Um, so thank you so much. We could stay for a really long time here. But we could do it again. We can do part two.
Sure.
Thank you so much. It's now 10 to 6.
Oh my goodness.
Have you, yeah, Rachel feels calm, so calming. So that's lovely to know that. And isn't it wonderful that we have emitted or offered Reiki without even offering Reiki? You
Yeah.
know, whoever was meant to receive it will receive it, which is lovely.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Cassie. What have you coming up? Have you, what's in line? What have you at the moment in your business?
So I Reiki led me down a whole journey, a different journey. So I absolutely am still practicing and teaching Reiki. Um, it led me to quantum healing. It led me to mediumship. I'm currently in a 6-month program for shamanic medicine healing. So I'm going to be finishing up with that soon. So I will be kind of doing a whole revamp of my business because everything has just expanded so much. And then I started a business with Jen, and we are teaching Reiki 1 and 2, but we're really focusing on, we know that Reiki and spirituality um, has a lot of tools, not
Yeah,
just one. There's not a
yeah,
one size fits all. You mentioned tapping,
yeah,
shadow work,
yeah.
all kinds of tools.
Mhm.
So we started it with Reiki 1 and 2, and then we're going to be teaching along with Margot, who is also another Reiki
Yeah,
master and mainstream Reiki
yeah,
future practitioner.
yeah,
She will be kind of working with shadow work, and Jen will be doing human design and kind of a numerology portion, but we're really teaching like a foundational um, kind of course where it's Reiki 1 and 2, focusing on being able to really learn it for yourself. We're going to actually teach them separately. So Reiki 1 will be taught by itself and allow that to integrate with people.
yes,
um, I know for myself, when I learned Reiki 1 and 2 and I was able to do it for others, it took me forever to do it for myself. So, and we now recognize we should have absolutely worked on ourselves
yeah,
first, just all that. So that's why we're going to separate those 1 and 2. And then also like introductory classes to I'm going to be teaching journeying and kind of how to do it safely.
okay,
And, the differences between power animals and spirit animals and why they're wonderful guides as well. And so we started that. We'll start classes in the fall. And so everything is just, we're in a really big transition, a really big transformative period right now.
good.
So I am busy with momming and Reiki teaching,
Yeah,
Reiki sessions
yeah,
in class,
yeah.
and just getting ready to kind of do a whole revamp on what holistic hands is for me. So
Is all your classes online?
They are.
Yeah.
They are. They're
Okay.
online. Yeah.
I'm just going to what is the name of your business with Jennifer and Margot?
The wisdom of three.
The sum of three.
Yep. So let me make sure that that website is just.
I can just put notes.
Yeah, and it's the. I was just checking really quick to make sure it's the number three, not written out three. So
Uh,
thewisdomof3.com.
the wisdom of three.
Yep.
That's fabulous, isn't it?
And our hope is to, we have, our hope is to have collaborators, because we recognize that, again, like I said, people will be more exposed to other modalities and other parts of healing. And people are coming to wanting and needing different aspects, kind of like a foundation. We all kind of jump down the rabbit hole at some point. We decide to stop tipping our toe and we kind of jump. And all of these things work as a collaboration in our own healing. So we are hoping to have more collaborators
Well,
and
the lovely ladies. I know that
yes,
the ladies that have joined are all connected. So,
yeah,
girl, I'll share the details in this, and you're welcome to contact Cassie. I know
yeah,
that if you look back on my Instagram, you will see that I was with Jennifer as well, who Cassie is speaking about. So she was my first Reiki reset. So, well, I'm delighted and best of luck with that. That sounds just anyone that's going to be in your company. It's very lucky.
thank you, thank you, thank you. We're very excited.
Yeah. Well, say hello to Jennifer for me, and I shall chat to you soon. Thanks, everybody, for joining. I just loved this, and you have your breakfast now, Cassie, and I'm going to have.
Yeah.
I say I'm going to have my tea. I have dinner at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, and I have tea. So tea isn't a cup of tea, but tea is the meal I'll have now. So that's what I'm going to have
Okay.
now.
Wonderful. Well, it was so nice to talk with you again. I'm so glad we were able to do
Yeah,
this. Thank you for having
yeah,
me,
yeah,
truly.
yeah. I loved it, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye. Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you.